Welcome to the Professional Development Merit webinar. This was originally hosted live on July 20th, 2021. This month, we are providing an update on the community-based training. My name is Diana Stokes, and I am the Staff Qualifications Coordinator for DCYF's Professional Development Team. With me when we presented live was Marlene White, our Communication and Engagement Specialist. This webinar will include an overview of this pathway, how community engagement was involved in the process, and what is the future of this pathway. In August, we will come back together to talk about the dual language update and the work that's been happening. So what is the community-based training pathway? As you know, staff qualifications is more than just education. It includes hiring and pre-service requirements, training, as well as the education. This training-based pathway is available for those that need the initial or short certificate for their early learning role. This includes assistant teachers, lead teachers, and family home licensees. This is a direct result from the equivalency work group that met from April 2019 to January 2020. House Bill 2556 passed in April of 2020 and tasked DCYF with creating a community-based training equivalent. Please keep in mind that this is not available to meet ECAP performance standards and does not qualify for Early Achievers Professional Development points, but it does meet one's licensing requirement for the education. House Bill 2556 tasked DCYF with different deliverables. The first one was to implement a non-credit bearing community-based training pathway by July 1st, 2021. It also tasked us with consulting with the named stakeholders of the bill. This included Child Care Aware of Washington, the Imagine Institute, Washington Federation of Independent Schools, Washington Child Care Center Association, One America, SEIU 925, and child care providers. Together, we created a community-based training pathway that would align with core competencies, be available in multiple languages, include culturally relevant practices, be available at low cost to child care providers, and be accessible in rural and urban settings. During this time, we put together some design principles, and these are the same design principles that we use in our other trainings. These included integrating equity mindset and anti-racist practices, coordinating and aligning within the early learning system, using the learning cycle to apply learning and practice, flexible and adaptable for multiple options to engage in learning, consulting with partners and community in development, and integrating existing content when possible. As you can see, this is our development timeline for the community-based training pathway, and we have been at this for quite some time. In November 2019, we really started a discover phase that carried through the rest of 2020. This included the project plan for this work, identifying the principles and specifications we wanted to have in this model, as well as seeking out community feedback. In February 2020, we transitioned to the design stage where we created the model structure, outlined a draft, and again, sought out community feedback. And this continued through January of 2021. In January, we also then transitioned into the development stage where we took the model structure and had a model draft. We went through a revision cycle, and that includes going through graphic design and copy edit where you really make it a pretty package. And then in June of 2021, we concluded our pilot. It was a shortened version of the pathway that I'll show you very shortly. And right now we're taking the feedback from the pilot and making revisions, and we'll continue developing out the rest of the model until the end of this year. Then starting in January 2020, we will transition to the delivery stage. As I mentioned, we did a lot of community engagement in addition to working with our consulting work group. During the many hours of collaboration, DCYF learned about what were the most important factors identified from the stakeholders and community. These included cost, delivery, the content, challenges, the demonstration of learning, and the communication. There is a summary on our website that you will be able to read all about this if this is of interest for you. And now I am happy to introduce to you what was formerly known as the community-based training model is now known as PACE. This is the provider accessible community equivalent. And what's great about this option being that it's an equivalent for the education requirement of the initial and short certificate is that you still have the same 5-year time frame to meet your education requirement. So you really do get to go at your own pace when going through this training pathway. So how does this fit into the whole professional development system? And as a system, there are many different types of trainings and opportunities for growth. Through this community-based training option, an individual will get to experience other components of the learning cycle, which includes relationship-based professional development and coaching. And on your screen, you can see the different pathways and what is specific for each one. Please note that the training and experience options are not available for ECAP performance standards or for early achievers professional development points. So the PACE pathway is more than just some additional training. It really scaffolds and builds on existing training. So a person will start with childcare basics. After the completion of childcare basics, a person will go into the enhancing quality of early learning and complete year 1 and year 2. Please note, if you were hired prior to August 1st of 2019, when the WAC went into effect, Equal was not required for your role training-wise, but if you do want to participate in this pathway, you will need to complete Equal for this. And then after you completed childcare basics and Equal, there are 2 modules that will be completed that have job embedded learning in part of it. So these 2 modules include the field of ECE, which includes lessons on ECE then and now, reflective teaching, and the teaching profession. Module 2 is on supporting child development and wellness and has 2 lessons. These include children and families and child wellness. And then there is job embedded learning that happens within both of those modules. It really builds and takes the lessons and makes it application in the learning. So it is applied into the early learning classrooms. So job embedded learning includes on-the-job work hours. So as you are actively working in your early learning program, those hours are also being counted towards this education equivalent. And then you'll put it into practice. And that means you're taking the activities, you're trying it out. And at the very end, once you've completed the modules, there is opportunity to put it all together. And that is where you're taking the learning that has happened, however long you took to complete PACE, and you're wrapping it all up, your creation of the work that you have, and really look at the milestones that you've met. And so this happens in multiple different ways. The job embedded learning is really meant to emphasize the reflection that happens in learning, and especially when you take it and apply it to your program. And so this is the learning cycle. This includes first you'll attend the training session. After the training session, participants will get to apply their learning to their program and implement the different activities. Participants will then go and reflect on the activity, such as what worked well, what didn't work well. Participants will document their reflection through one of the many options, and these include video reflection, journaling, and other documentation practices. And then with your trainer, participants will then share their reflection. And this is to show the trainer that the participant has met the milestone required for this lesson. So as I mentioned, this will be a scaled out implementation that will start in January of 2022. But in the meantime, there are things that can be done so that you're ready to go. First, you're going to want to confirm your eligibility. Are you in a role that requires the initial or short certificate? Second, you're going to want to indicate your pathway choice in merit. This is coming in October. And there you'll be able to indicate that this is the pathway if you want to do the experience option or education in another manner. So you'll need to mark that in merit. After you've done that, you'll want to make sure you have childcare basics and enhancing quality of early learning years 1 and 2 completed. Right now, year 1 is available. Year 2 will be available this fall. And then, as I mentioned, DCYF is working on scaling out this model and building the capacity for expansion. Updates will be provided through our professional development newsletter and on our website on how to use this model to meet your education requirement, as well as what the registration process will look like. There are a few resources available right now. The newest resource is our updated and new qualifications and role requirements website. There you'll be able to find all the information for staff qualifications. So right now, this includes early learning childcare providers as well as school age care providers. And there you'll be able to find information about education and equivalence as well as training. And community-based training section can be found under the education and equivalence. There you'll be able to find information about the House bill, any updated work that's happening, and you can also find a way to contact me to learn more about PACE and receive an update. Coming soon, make sure you save the date. In August is the dual language learner update that I mentioned previously. And in September, we'll have the merit dashboard walkthrough as we prepare for that to go live in October. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to our professional development newsletters. We have our professional development newsletter as well as our Growing the Workforce newsletter. You can go to our professional development pages and subscribe directly there, or you can send an email to Marlene White and she'll get you subscribed. Also on this site, you'll be able to find our recorded webinars, including this one, and as well as anything we've recorded in the past. I want to thank you all for reviewing this webinar. And if you have any follow-up questions and need assistance, you can contact myself. Again, my name is Diana Stokes. I am the Staff Qualifications Coordinator, or you can contact Marlene White, who is our Communications and Engagement Specialist. And she'll be able to connect you with the right person if she doesn't have the answers. Another good location to contact us for support is our Merit Workforce Registry support team. And you can contact them at merit@dcyf.wa.gov. Thank you and have a wonderful day.